brief synopsis of what targets experience as a result of electronic harassment. I'd pay close attention to you, and I want you to this, and I want you to understand electronic harassment has been around at least since the early 70s, at least.
That could be experiments. It could be saying, let's see if we can drive this person crazy, and just, see how long it takes, and let's give it a try. Now, again, back in the 50s, government tested chemicals and biologicals over St. Louis, over a Navy ship. It happened. It's true. They've admitted it.
Yeah.
So who's to say this isn't true, too?
Yeah, let me just give you a second here about some of the symptoms for those of you listening.
Let's do that when we come right back, Fred. We're already at the top of the hour. Our special guest tonight, Fred Bell, author of The Inside Track. We'll get some of the symptoms of electronic harassment. Maybe you're being bombarded. We'll find out. Yep, and you're listening to Fred Bell with us, too, as we talk about his latest work, The Inside Track, the complete history of science, and just what are they trying to do to all of us? Let's find out a little bit more. Symptoms of electronic harassment when we come right back. Here we are with Fred Bell. Fred, what are some of the symptoms of electronic harassment?
Well, there's a bunch of them, and there's also environmental symptoms, too. But just a few are sleep deprivation, fatigue, malaise, irritability, shortening of the attention span, daytime fatigue attacks I see on a lot of people, on older people, cataracts, blood changes, circulatory problems, permanent deterioration of the central nervous system. Another one is very common is blurred vision and loss of concentration, whole body jerks, shaking of the body, heat flashes, artificial fever, shortness of the breath, loss of control of the vocal cords, which is because of that radar flashlight studies, that kind of stuff. Unusual forgetfulness, things like that. And sudden sexual urges, suicidal and homicidal thoughts, panic attacks. And the biggest one that I see of all in the people I did is some form of depression and extreme paranoia. I see that. And sometimes in the environment around a targeted person, some people out there I know are going to relate to this, is the stoppage of power to appliances, manipulation of appliance settings, temporary failures that fix themselves, movements of objects that's off and off the shelf, under the floor causing breakage, precision and manipulation of switches and controls, premature failure of appliances and computer failures and errors. That's just some of the stuff that goes on. I mean, it does affect the environment, especially if they're doing the millimeter wave stuff, which is a common delivery system.
What is confusion weaponry, Fred?
Well, confusion weaponry it was basically brought about several years ago where we were using thoughts to, frequencies that mess up the thinking system of the body. Okay, this was the original, how it really all started. Later on, it got, there were different devices developed that were neurostimulators from a distance. I remember in the very beginning, they were developing devices where they had a control, an implant in your head, and then it was, you would see the effect of it in your head. Later on, it became remote control, and now it's done in a difference, almost on a quantum level. And it's basically impulses that are sent to the body that cause that person to go into some confusion state. A good example of that was just recently. That lady that was on the news the other night, a little blonde girl. You might have.
Do I experience every single thing and more that Fred Bell just talked about on Coast to Coast? You can thoroughly listen to the entire video by going to YouTube and typing in Coast to Coast, Electronic Harassment and Warfare with Fred Bell and George Norrie. Thank you.